Hey Brew Crew, welcome back to Beer City Board Games. Today we are jumping back into my top 100 board games of all time, cracking open the shrink on the next set, games number 20 through 11. This is the last video before we finally get to the top 10, and I've been having so much fun making these videos for you all. These games aren't just really good games. Most of these are games that have stuck with me for years. And especially this high up on the list where there doesn't tend to be a lot of movement, any change at all feels like a big deal. I believe I said this in a previous video as well, but if my top 10 didn't exist and this 10 became my new top 10, I would still be very happy. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's get to it.
20.
Number 20 is Champions of Midgard. Now, Champions of Midgard is one of those games that just really hits a satisfying sweet spot for me. At its core, it's a worker placement game, but it is dressed up with dice-based combat that somehow manages to feel tense without completely wrecking your plans. You are drafting dice, gearing up your Vikings, and sending them off to fight monsters. And yeah, sometimes the dice betray you, but the game gives you just enough mitigation to keep it from feeling cruel. This was probably one of the first examples of a hybrid game that I can recall playing. It has all the strategic sensibilities of a Euro game, but the exciting dice-based combat of an Ameritrash game. This is a much more common thing now, but it was much less common back when this game came out. What I really love about this game is how it encourages you to take risks. You can spend all of your time prepping to make sure you can defeat a monster or a Draugr in battle, or you can divide your forces and hope to take out multiple enemies. This becomes even more interesting with the addition of the Valhalla expansion, where losing some of your dice warriors becomes a part of your strategy. This is a game that still hits the table easily for me, and I'm always excited to play it, which is a big reason it lands comfortably at number 20.
19.
Number 19 is Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico is, well, it's Puerto Rico. This is one of those games that absolutely earns its legendary status through pure mechanical brilliance. The role selection system is still one of the best ever designed, and the way players are constantly drafting off of each other's choices creates this incredible tension from start to finish. If you've watched the rest of the series, you'll have heard me talk about how big a fan I am of this mechanism in other games. So of course the game that really brought this mechanism to the forefront is going to be high on my list. Every roll you take, or don't take, ripples around the table. It's sharp, it's punishing, and it rewards careful planning in a way that few games do. Now, this is an older design, and yes, it comes with some thematic baggage that's worth acknowledging and discussing, which I understand they at least attempted to address in the updated versions. But from a purely gameplay standpoint, Puerto Rico remains one of the tightest, most influential Euro games ever made. And for me, that legacy still holds strong at number 19.
18.
Number 18 is the Voyages of Marco Polo. I absolutely love games that start me out with some sort of special ability or asymmetric power. I mentioned that when I discussed Forges of Ravenshire in the last video. Well, the Voyages of Marco Polo is still probably one of the most well-known examples of this in a Euro-style board game. And I am cheating here a little bit again, because I technically own Marco Polo 2, but I'm putting both the original and the sequel in this spot, as they are very similar in play and very similar in the experience that I get out of them. This is a brutally tight dice placement game where the constraints are the entire point. You're always short on resources, short on actions and money, basically everything, and yet the game gives you these wildly asymmetric player powers that completely reshape how you approach the puzzle. Everyone is essentially trying to accomplish similar goals, travel along trade routes, establishing trading posts, and fulfilling contracts, all of which can be challenging and expensive, but because of the player powers, it is so much fun to watch everyone's strategies play out. I'm pretty sure at least once during every game, we're checking the rulebook because someone's power seems just a little too good. It's fun to play, deeply rewarding, and that's why it lands all the way up here at my number 18 spot.
17.
Number 17 is Biblios. Now, Biblios is proof that a game does not need a giant box or 100 components to be excellent. In fact, this is my highest ranked small box game and has been a favorite of mine ever since I first played it. This is a sharp, elegant card game built around drafting, bluffing, and incredibly tense auctioning. The first half feels almost gentle. Players are drafting cards, setting the stage until the second half flips the script, and suddenly every decision feels dangerous. That first round, everyone takes turns drawing cards from the deck. For each card, you'll decide if you want to keep it for yourself, offer it up to your opponents, or put it into the auction pile for later. The trick is that you're doing this one card at a time for each card, so you're never sure if something better will come up next. You want to have the highest value in a color in order to score points based on the value of the matching colored die, but certain cards will allow you to manipulate that point value. Plus, you'll need to make sure that you have enough money going into the auction round so that you can afford cards that you really want. What really elevates Biblios for me is how much psychology is packed into such a small experience. You're reading players, manipulating values, and trying to set yourself up for a strong auction round. There's just so much to consider in a small package. It's fast, clever, and super replayable, and it punches way above its weight at number 17.
16.
Number 16 is War of the Ring. Now, War of the Ring is not just a game, it's an event. This is probably one of the most thematic experiences that I've ever had at a board game table. Every movement, every battle, every desperate push towards Mount Doom feels earned and meaningful. It is long, it is complex, and it absolutely requires the right opponent. Jen has been a particularly challenging Dark Lord to overcome. But when all of these line up, War of the Ring delivers moments that feel incredibly cinematic. In fact, we also own the Battle of Five Armies, and while I've been doing plenty of cheating by combining sequels on this list, this is one where I prefer the original far more than the streamlined sequel, and that's largely because a game this epic in nature should be long and complex, just like the story that it's trying to tell. And what I admire most is how the game balances strategy and story. You're making smart, calculated decisions, but you're also watching an epic narrative unfold in a way that very few games can replicate. This is my highest Lord of the Rings theme game on this list, and as most of you know, I'm a huge fan of this world that Tolkien has created. I've read the books many times, I've watched all of the movies, and I absolutely love how thematic this game is. You'll feel like you are playing your way through the novels. Certain cards will come up in play that will make you smile as you remember the story, and when this game comes out, so do the film soundtracks. For me, it's the gold standard of an epic two-player game, and it lands proudly at number 16.
15.
Number 15 is Five Tribes. Five Tribes is one of those games that still feels fresh every time I play it. The Mancala-style movement system is incredibly fascinating, turning what could have been a standard Euro into something deeply tactical and interactive. Every move reshapes the board, opens up new opportunities, and potentially hands your opponents exactly what they want. Granted, it can lead to a fair amount of AP, but in our experience, it's usually not too bad. Every once in a while, someone will seize up, but typically there's a few decent options each turn, so it's fairly rare. I love how tactical this game is. Because the board state changes each turn, you can't spend too much time trying to plan ahead. Odds are someone else will take that move before it gets back to your turn. Often you're just trying to find the best possible move for you in that particular moment. It is colorful, clever, and surprisingly cutthroat, and that combination keeps Five Tribes firmly in my top 15.
14.
Number 14 is Amerigo. Now, Amerigo doesn't always get talked about as much as some other failed designs, but it absolutely deserves more love. This one has ranked pretty high for me ever since I first played it. The cube tower system adds just enough uncertainty to keep things interesting without overwhelming the strategy. You still feel in control, but you are forced to adapt in smart ways based on what becomes available. Just like most failed designs, Amerigo forces you to make the best out of what the game gives you. The cube tower is just a unique and clever way to introduce randomness rather than just using dice again. I really enjoy the sandboxy feel of Amerigo. You are exploring, upgrading, building, scoring in multiple ways, and the game rewards players who can pivot efficiently rather than lock themselves into one path. You do always have to plan for those damn pirates, though. They could be a real pain. And just like with Puerto Rico, this game came with some thematic baggage that is unfortunate, and I am very excited to see the updates that are coming in the Manila City Collection remake from Queen Games.
13.
Number 13 is Grand Austria Hotel. Grand Austria Hotel is a game that I somehow enjoy, despite how stressful it is, and despite the fact that Jen always absolutely destroys me at it. I am usually sitting in my Motel 6 looking across the street at her Four Seasons, and I still love the game, which should tell you something. Everything in this game feels tight. Money is scarce, actions are limited, and your guests are constantly demanding things that you're not quite ready to give them. But that's exactly why I like it. The dice drafting action selection creates incredible tension. Each die value represents a certain type of action, and the number of dice with that value also represent the strength at which you'll be able to take that action. So not only are you hoping that there will be a die so you can take the action you want, but you also hope that there will be enough dice there to make the action worthwhile. The way that your hotel slowly grows into a finely tuned machine is incredibly satisfying. Every staff member hired feels impactful, every guest you serve gives you important bonuses, and every round you survive feels like a small victory. I also do recommend the Let's Waltz expansion, especially if you are looking to mix up the gameplay a bit. It's a beautiful blend of pressure and payoff, and one of my favorite mid to heavy Euros of all time.
12.
Number 12 is Orléans. Now, this is a game that really rewards you for thinking ahead without locking you into a single plan, and that's something that I value a lot in Euro designs. It was the first bag building game that I ever played, and even though I've played and enjoyed several others since then, none of them have hit the mark for me quite as well as Orléans did. What starts off as a modest little engine slowly evolves into this powerful, flexible system where every token you add feels meaningful. You are expanding your influence, adding buildings which provide additional placement spaces, and making your way across a map to gather goods and set up trading posts. If you've never played a bag building game, basically you are recruiting follower tokens, things like farmers, traders, and scholars, and tossing them into your bag to power future actions. On your turn, you draw a certain number of these tokens and then assign them to different action spaces on your board. What makes it really shine is how flexible that system becomes over time. Early on, you are just trying to survive. Move around the map, get a little income, maybe build your first trading house. But as the game progresses, your engine starts to really hum. Hopefully you are cycling your bag more efficiently, triggering bonus actions and chaining effects together in really satisfying ways. I also love how the game balances map-based interaction with personal engine building. You are racing for locations and usually blocking your opponents from being able to build in your cities, without the game ever feeling mean-spirited. And there's the variability. Between the different tiles, strategies, and expansions, Orleans has a ton of replayability. I especially recommend half of the Trade and Intrigue expansion, the trade half specifically. It adds a lot more interesting decisions, contracts that can be filled, and new ways to cull unwanted tokens from your bag. I guess you can add the intrigue part of the expansion in there too if you enjoy being a jerk to your friends. As I said, I have yet to play a bag building game that I feel has done it as well as Orleans, and that's why it lands at my number 12.
11,
And number 11 is Glen 2 Chronicles. This is one of those games that just feels incredibly clever. The core of this game revolves around a time track tile selection system, where instead of taking turns in a fixed order, players will jump ahead on a track to claim tiles. The further back you are, the more options you have, but taking a powerful tile means you're probably giving your opponent multiple turns in a row. And that tension never goes away. Every tile you add to your personal map contributes to an evolving economic engine. You are scoring points and producing goods based on adjacency and timing. And because those tiles only activate when something triggers them, placement matters a lot. A single poorly placed tile can haunt you for the rest of the game. Where Glen 2 really elevates itself is the Chronicles. Each Chronicle introduces a unique twist, new scoring conditions, asymmetric powers, or mini objectives that can dramatically change how the game feels. You can mix and match them, tailoring the experience to your group, or even creating a subtle narrative arc across the game. It's a game that rewards efficiency, foresight, and adaptability. You're always reacting not just to the board, but to your opponent's timing and choices. Now, Glen 2 has been in my top 10 for several years, and I think the only reason that it just barely slipped down to the number 11 spot is just because of lack of play. But it could easily pop back up into my top 10 given how much I love playing it. All right, that is number 20 through 11, the penultimate video in this month's long series. Next time we are finally getting into the top 10, and honestly, these are games that defined what board gaming means to me, and I am beyond excited to share them with you. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments which of these games you love or which ones you think I'm completely wrong about. That's it for me today. I will see you on the next one, and until then, let's get another round for the table.